with Giveback Homes, it's like we made this for the real estate industry because obviously they're in the business of homes. So that makes sense. And so if anybody in real estate has any sort of inkling to want to give back, we just make it super easy and streamlined for them to do that.
This is Stay Paid, the marketing podcast that gives listeners a competitive edge to stay motivated, find inspiration, and discover proven real-world tactics from some of the best marketers across the nation.
Welcome to another episode of Stay Paid. I'm Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree. And before we bring on our guest today, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're not already subscribed, while you're there, drop us a review and we will read it here on the show. Our guest today is Caroline Pinal. Caroline helped create Giveback Homes to empower the real estate industry to turn their everyday business into an opportunity for social good. Through Giveback Homes, Caroline and her team work with real estate agents, brokerages, and technology companies across the nation to provide them with impactful volunteer opportunities and projects to support, resulting in hundreds of safe homes for families in need. Caroline, First of all, welcome to Stay Paid. Second of all, I forgot to ask you how to pronounce your name. I think I heard you laugh at my pronunciation. So if you could please clear the air for everybody now with your proper pronunciation.
It's just Caroline, sweet Caroline, Caro frickin' line. It doesn't matter. I just laugh at any introduction. I'm like, oh man, no, I'm going to have to, like, it's me. I have to talk on a podcast. I was laughing at you. I'm just laughing at myself.
Don't worry, Caroline. I laugh at him all the time. All the time. It's great. And not just his dad jokes, like literally him. I just laugh at him.
But that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. Thank you for the introduction. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. Super excited to talk to you about, we don't have very many people on that have grown, like, I call it like a nonprofit, like grown like a charity arm of either their business or just a nonprofit in general. Walk us through what got you passionate. Why'd you get into the space? And talk to us a little bit about where Giveback Homes is and what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, both my business partner and I, Blake and I, before starting Giveback Homes, we were working at Tom's Shoes. So we were that's how we got into the social impact space. It's the company that pioneered the one-for-one giving model. We traveled throughout Central America distributing shoes to communities in need. And so after a few years, we came back from a giving trip, and he was actually going through the process of buying a home himself. And so, he was working with realtor, and we kind of explained to them like the living conditions that we saw in Central America. And so between all of us, we kind of had the idea of what if we could apply a similar model for the real estate world where, when a real estate agent buys or sells a home, they could potentially help build a home for a family in need in Nicaragua. That's where we first started.
That's awesome.
So that is a very, quick explanation of how Giveback Homes started. And then basically from there, it just kind of the momentum just started growing and growing. And, we're here now 10 years later, which is pretty insane to say out loud, but something I'm really proud of. So,
and how many homes have you guys done over time?
I want to say, it depends because we've done, over 500 internationally, but then we have build days in the United States where we help build homes here in the United States. Obviously, it looks a lot different. We could build a complete home for a family in Nicaragua or El Salvador in one weekend. Obviously, that's not possible here in the U.S. So in the U.S., it's over 200 build days.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really cool. And I forgot what the rest of your series of questions was. But,
well, I tend to interrogate people, but I'm curious, like, you've been at it for 10 years, right?
Yes.
And how does one go about, how do you survive and build a company as an entrepreneur, building a charity? Because you're very mission minded, right? And so it's like, how do you balance that? Hey, I got to grow the business and support the workers, because if you don't have the workers, and I can't do the giving back, how do you balance that? And how do you think about it from a marketing perspective?
Well, from the beginning, we knew we didn't want to just be a nonprofit that's just relying on donations and asking for donations. We have, like I said, we worked in the social impact world with Tom's, where it was a different business model. It wasn't a nonprofit. And so we knew from the beginning we didn't want to do that. We wanted to provide a service to our members. Giveback Homes members get access to different marketing materials, resources, networking events, things like that. And so we built it so that they were actually getting something out of their membership as well too. So, and then on top of that, we delivered this impact of, you know exactly where your money's going, because a lot of the agents we talked to, they were like, I donate to charities here and there. I never really know where the money's going, or I don't have a deep personal connection with where I'm donating to. I'm just kind of like donating and, you see your name on a banner or something like that. So we really wanted to give all of our members really meaningful and impactful causes to donate towards. And we wanted them to know where their money was going. So one of my biggest goals is to always be able to show them, photos of the families, their stories, updates on how the families are doing, all that sort of stuff, so that, it really differentiates us from your standard, nonprofit model, I guess. So yeah. And then I think just staying true, like I said, staying true to who we are. We've never, really focused on being big in terms of like employees or numbers. We're always just focused on being good at what we do, being great at what it is we're doing. And that's allowed us to stay alive and thriving for 10 years now. So
how does it work? You mentioned when you sell a home, part of the commission can go towards the donation. Can agents actually get involved in volunteering? Like, how does the whole process work?
Yeah. So they go and they sign up at givebackhomes.com. And then as soon as they sign up as a member, they get access to, all of our marketing materials. And then we can set up fundraising pages for them if they want to, have a specific fundraising campaign for themselves. And then we'll actually help them coordinate volunteer events, either locally or internationally. So I've done hundreds of build days across the US for real estate brokerages or real estate agents. And then we've also taken trips of groups of real estate agents and companies to go help build homes internationally as well too. So they sign up. It's a monthly membership fee, and then they can donate as much as anytime at any amount at any time. So a lot of our members will donate monthly. Some of them will donate at the close of each transaction on behalf of their clients, which is really popular. And then we send a little thank you letter saying, thank you for working with Luke. Because of that, you've helped build a home for a family in need.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, something as simple as a letter, it sounds simple, but it's so powerful. And then, or some members will donate at the end of the year on behalf of all of their clients. So it really is up to them how they want to structure it and whatever works best for them.
Do the agents ever get their clients involved? Like, is there an opportunity where you can do a volunteer day with your clients?
Oh yeah, we highly recommend that. I mean, a lot of that's what they do. So we have a member, Jessica Northrup. She's based out of Denver. Every year she hosts a volunteer event in Denver, and she invites her clients to come out and her vendors. And then she also sponsors a complete home for a family in El Salvador as well. That's too. And awesome. She's actually brought her team out to El Salvador multiple times to help build homes there with us. So yeah, she's a great example of that.
That is awesome. Talk about like how you think a small business, or why you think a small business should have a give back arm or a component of their business, and why you believe it is a great thing from a marketing and business perspective.
I don't necessarily believe that every business should have a market or a philanthropic arm. I think if it's something that's important to you and it's something that, you're passionate about, then absolutely. And it's, it's something that you can easily incorporate into a for-profit business. But, as over the past 10 years, you see a lot of greenwashing and cause washing, and companies that don't necessarily are not authentic or genuine about it. So that's why I don't always say every company should. But if you have something that, makes sense for you, and that's why with Giveback Homes, it's we made this for the real estate industry, because obviously they're in the business of homes. So that makes sense. And so if anybody in real estate has any sort of inkling to want to give back, we just make it super easy and streamlined for them to do that. Any business outside of real estate or any other startup, you just have to take the time to figure out what your values are, figure out what causes are important to you, identify some nonprofits that are going to be able to really truly partner with you. So you're not just donating money and you don't really know where it's going. You want to be able to build relationships with those nonprofits, so that you guys can start the foundation of something really great. Otherwise, you either never start it or you do, and then you look back and I never really felt connected to it, How
do you know if a charity's legit? Like, what type of questions should you ask? Because that's one of the big pain points, I think, out there for people who give.
I agree. I mean, I think that it's always helpful to know someone directly at the nonprofit or at the charity that you're working at. I recommend going and visiting it, whether it's a shelter or, something for senior citizens or veterans, things like that. Go in person and start volunteering first yourself and see if it's even something that you enjoy volunteering with first. And then you can build those relationships and start asking questions about like, hey, what would a bigger partnership look like with my business and your organization? And then like, what kind of reports could I get back? Do you guys give me, photos, or will I be able to, invite my clients to come out and participate as well too? Can we do an annual fundraiser? Would you be able to help support the fundraiser? Those are just all kind of basic questions, but I think just getting actually involved first before, because also to be fair to the nonprofit side, they get bombarded with people all day and, they don't always have the time and resources to answer every single question right away. But if you start building that relationship and that rapport with them first and volunteering first, then it might make more sense and you'll have, overall more successful partnership and relationship with them.
What's your biggest frustration for the people who, like, I call them your clients, but the donors, right? What's your biggest frustration with donors and the people that are involved?
I don't have any frustrations with my donors.
Oh, that can't be true. There's got to be some frustration. I'm trying to get the dirt. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm on, what do you call it? Those Hollywood, Access Hollywood or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I will say, I do get we get approached by a lot of companies who, want to get involved, and they are very, in a good way, strategic about it. And, we go through a whole process of like what it would look like and all that sort of stuff. And at the end, sometimes people, to that sign behind you, people are just afraid to take action, or they are just like, they'll let little hesitations or little things like stop them from just starting. And, my biggest recommendation to everyone is just like, let's just start and see where it goes. Let's just take one action and see how that feels. See how good you feel after that. And if you want to replicate it, and then we can build upon it and make it bigger and better. So, I just think that my biggest frustration in general with people, wanting to develop a social impact strategy for their business is that they don't take action. They are afraid to take that first step. Yeah.
Why are they afraid? Is it the giving component? Like they are scared to give because they might need that money? Is it the fear that you won't actually use their money for good? What do you think it is?
I feel like, everyone wants to do good. I mean, everyone wants to give back. Everyone wants to volunteer, but they're just not always given the opportunities to as often. If somebody said, hey, like we're picking up trash at our local park tomorrow, are you available? And if you're available, you might do it. But if it wasn't for that invitation, you would never probably have done it. So I guess and then I also feel like there's a lot of hesitation where people think that they don't want it to look like they're doing it for the wrong reasons. That's a common hesitation. And I'd always try and get them to look past that, because there's really no way of, people are just afraid of being judged and just afraid of
it's so
what
true.
people will think. And so I think as soon as you get over that hump and just realize, hey, we're doing a good thing regardless. And it is true. People who are doing good do deserve to have some accolades and recognition, and, they deserve to have more business, more abundance. The more you give, the more that'll come back to you. So I just always try and encourage them to get over that, overthinkingness of it.
Yeah. Have you always been in philanthropy, or is this like your first foray into it?
Well, before this, I was at Tom's Shoes. I was working in sales and retail marketing there. And then before that, I was working in consumer products for Disney. And then I did a little bit of work with news because I studied journalism in college. Okay. And then I quickly realized I was not going to be in the news industry. But I loved the aspect of storytelling, and that's something that's really important. Like I was mentioning, I love to share the stories of our families, from El Salvador, and connect them to our donors and our members in the US who are making, who are changing their lives with these homes, essentially.
Yeah, I would think that is one of the most important pieces. My wife and I sponsor a kid. And it's like getting the pictures right and the letters from them and stuff like that is a powerful reminder of, why you're doing what you're doing and all that, to encourage you to keep going. I do think, I know you say not every business should have a give back. I think every business should, but I agree with you. You know, you can't just do it for growing your business. It has to be something that you're passionate about. But I always challenge people. I go, look, the consumer, because we're in marketing, this is what we do. We love marketing. The consumer would rather do business with somebody that they know, like, and trust. And trust a lot of times is built on what? Common values. Right. So you have a common value that allows you to form a community, common like things that you strive for and aspire to. And so if you can connect yourself to a charity that you actually love and that you actually want to support, all those people that also support that charity are going to be naturally more connected to you in a great way. People want to do business with people of purpose, not people of profit. But it will make your profit grow. We see this. We do a charity issue of our magazine every year, and we don't do it because of the benefits we're going to give to charity no matter what, but it is a great benefit for our business, and it allows us to spread the brand in a way that we can't do other ways. And so I think it's a really good thing for people to do. But I think you're right. I think people are just gun shy, and they don't realize that, hey, you just got to choose the charity you're passionate about and do it. You just got to do it. But I would love to, kind of close out with asking you, like, when you look at, building your business, you look at the homes that you're building for these people, whether it's overseas or here in the States, right? You have a really unique perspective of being able to overcome adversity or overcome challenges that you're faced with. What would you tell an entrepreneur right now that is struggling in their business or that is, facing hardship? What would you tell them to help encourage them or give them advice of how to overcome and how to keep building? Because you've built this for 10 years now, and you're seeing unique things that other maybe people don't get to see.
I would whenever I'm, feeling that or feeling a little bit of that, I just always try to remind myself that the world is abundant, abundance is everywhere, and there's going to be more than enough. There's always like this, like, especially in the beginning when we first started, not a lot, but there was a couple instances where people were basically ripping off our idea, and it was like, I was fuming, you know what I mean? And I was just like, I was just in a different place. I was a different person. That was 10 years ago. And now I'm just like, that was so silly. You know what I mean? Like I'm great. I'm glad that people are ripping off the idea. There's lots of homes to be built for people who don't have homes. You know what I mean? The more, the better. But I look back at that time and I'm like, oh no, I was just, angry. So, I guess another piece of advice is that it doesn't last forever. You got to get through it. You'll learn something from whatever, hardships you're going through right now. It'll make you a stronger entrepreneur. And it'll eventually, that really bad feeling will be over, whatever it is. And you'll look back and you'll be able to laugh about how silly it was.
Oh my gosh. The number of things that we look back and laugh about how silly it was.
Yeah. What you stressed over and you're like, it didn't matter. It mattered, but it didn't matter.
Oh yeah. We had like our websites would go down even today, it's just like little things like that. But back then when we were first starting, I was like, oh my God, like as if like millions of people were going to our website daily, which was not the case. You know what I mean? So it's just like, everything's going to be okay. We're going to figure it out.
There's this interesting study on that point of like the power of communication and communication with your team or with your clients. And they studied different teams and how they communicated with each other. And what they found was one of the characteristics of really good teams that executed well and had high trust was there was not an emotional style of communication. Meaning when something bad happened, people didn't get all emotional and frantic about it. They were very just calm and collected. And it applies to kind of what you're saying of like, you look back and you go, yeah, why did I waste any emotional energy on this situation instead of just using it as a chance to get better, right? And you think about the team members that maybe report to you, and it's like so often you just want to be like passionately, well, how can you let this happen, type idea. But it's like, no, just being calm, collected, and just, hey, this is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to get better. We got to move this forward. It builds so much trust in that team member. And then obviously you get to spend your energy doing something positive, not negative.
Exactly. Just refocus. Like if something's going wrong in this area of your business, then just focus on a different area of business that's going great and just triple down on that until this other situation gets handled.
Well said. Well said.
Love it, Caroline. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Let people know how they can connect with you and learn more about your organization.
Yeah, you can just go to givebackhomes.com if you want to get involved. You can also donate to any of our projects there. I'd love for you guys, this is official invite for you guys to come join us on a build trip to El Salvador, come help build homes with us. And anybody else who wants to get involved, either as an individual real estate agent, a real estate brokerage, or real estate companies, we've developed some really cool social impact programs for them.
Very cool. So, thank you again for coming on the episode. And thank you all for listening. You can get the show notes and the resources and the links that Caroline mentioned there at staypaidpodcast.com. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review, and make sure to share this episode with a friend. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can find us on social media. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Caroline, thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank you.
Very
Take
impressive.
Action, guys.
Yes, exactly. Listen to what she says. Your action item for this podcast is really, what is your social impact strategy? What are you passionate about? And, I saw this really neat video that talked about they're studying the brain. And they basically have found that the part of the brain that fires when you have anxiety can't fire at the same time the part of your brain that fires when you are grateful for something. And so if you're dealing with like anxiety, or if you're dealing with stress and you're dealing with those things, man, you got to get some gratitude. And how do you get gratitude? Oh man, you can get gratitude through perspective and through giving back. And so a social impact strategy not only is good for your brand, good for your business, it can be good for your overall health. But remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every single business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.